thank you.
Hey Cass, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Huh? Really
So
good.
you just take off to go play golf?
I did.
And no other business, just go play.
I did not actually. I did. I actually sent Leesmeyer the soils report for RDO. That was the only. I did take my iPad and my laptop. I didn't open the iPad once, and I only opened the laptop. I only opened the laptop for Leesmeyer. He was the only phone call I took.
Okay.
I had two council members from the area that called me. Sent the voicemail.
It's always nice to take a break.
And I just booked Kohler, Wisconsin for next year. And Randy just replied to an email. I guess he's going to be in North Carolina playing golf.
Tonight?
Next week, I think.
Okay.
Kohler's, Wisconsin. He's going to be in Pinehurst. Did I say Kohler? He's going to be in Pinehurst, North
Oh,
Carolina.
I think you're talking about Kohler as
I'm going to Kohler next year.
the course.
Whistling Straits.
Okay, I thought you were talking about you were going to bring Kohler. The toilet or the
No. But that's the town I'm going to.
Oh, okay.
And actually, if you check it out, Kohler, Wisconsin is a manufacturing town, but it's also a resort town. When I was there in 22, I took a bunch of pictures out there. And I go Whistling, so here you go. You can have this and this all together.
That's a toilet.
Huh?
It's a toilet.
It's more than toilets. It's
I know,
faucets.
but it's not pretty enough to some. Ooh, I like those. You know, I've never used one,
No.
and I know people that have them, but it's just so awkward to like call them up. Hey, can I come take a shit at your house? And I've never stayed at a hotel or motel with one.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, I actually bought one.
Yeah.
It's a cheapie, like an $80 or $90.
Yeah, but you tie into.
Yeah, and I set it aside because I needed a fitting. It's been 5 years. It's lost in the garage somewhere. Well, I've never heard any negatives about it. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna set it up.
I did one. I finally did one last year because my sister had one after my dad took me off our house now. It's like I just tried it. I was like, oh.
Once you get used to it, but yeah.
I mean, cleaner.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I think we were talking about, we were joking around back and forth last night as well. I go a week like out in the wilderness or whatever, and not take a shower,
Doesn't bother
and
me.
not bother me at all. You know, as long as I brush my teeth and clean my asshole, that's all I need. I'll be happy,
Right?
because it's just
Yeah.
that's all you need.
What else on the agenda besides?
All right, sketch line around some issues, and then getting my Giovanni, friend of Giovanni.
Oh, you want? Is he still bothering her?
No, this wasn't from Tom. This is from a lady I actually met at a garage sale. I remember her name and her address. I was like, I walked
Our, what's today, the 13th, excuse me, Planning Commission meeting. Okay, so I call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you please call roll?
Commissioner Knighton.
Here.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Here.
Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Vice Chair Holler is absent, and Chair Madrid.
Here. Okay, who do we have? Kayla. Hi, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Kayla. Okay, so looks like we're headed right to the presentations. So 4.1, we have a land use analysis and economic impact. Can I ask the Community Development Director, Orlando Hernandez, to please present tonight's presentation?
Thank you. Very excited to do this for you guys today. I think everyone's aware that we're doing a joint workshop with the City Council next month, which is going to be Menifee specific. This is something similar to what you're going to be seeing next month, but this is more general. And as you know, we deal with land use decisions, and this is going to give you an idea as to how these land use decisions that we make, or you as a planning commission make, have a huge financial fiscal impact to the city. So again, this is not property specific. This is not Menifee specific. It's more general. So I will have our consultant. His name is Kevin Shepard. He's with Verdunity. We have him virtual today because he's in Texas. So if IT can help us out, put him through, and we'll start the presentation. So Kevin, can you hear us okay?
I can. They told me that they're going to keep my camera off for now, and then if we get the questions at the end, I'll turn my camera on and show you guys my pretty face. But for now, the slides are more important. Looks like you guys can see everything there on your end, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, good evening, Commission. My name is Kevin Shepard. I'm the founder and CEO of Verdunity. We're a Texas-based community consulting firm. We do work all over the country in the area of what I like to say of just cultivating fiscally resilient communities. My background's I'm a civil engineer by degree, and then around the 2008 recession, 2009, I got the opportunity to take over and serve as national director of my former firm's community planning practice. And in doing that, I got to work all over the country and started to see that no matter where I went, big city or small city, rural, urban, suburban, very few cities had the money that they needed to pay for their infrastructure. So that sent me down this journey of trying to understand why we're this prosperous country, but our cities can't pay all their bills. Led me into more planning work. Started Verdunity back in 2011, and we've been on this journey of fiscally informed planning and education ever since. So Brian reached out to me and asked me if I could just give a brief presentation to you all to kind of give an overview of our work, but really get into the focus on the fiscal impacts of density. Um, there's a lot of different definitions of density. There's a lot of people that get scared by the word density, but really what we're talking about in the context of Menifee or so many of our communities around the country is what I'll just call gentle density, a little bit more than typical suburban single family type development, but nothing like a New York City. So just to get you thinking a little bit, first, think for a minute about what makes a great place. It tends to be places where people are comfortable, people are interacting and getting together. There's lots of things to do. There's lots of things to look at. Sometimes there's smells, and you smell all the restaurants and those types of things. But so many people talk about we go on vacation and we go to these great places for vacation or to go visit, and then we come back to our homes. And I guess I would just ask the question and get us started. If there's things like this make up great places, then why have we been building so much of this across our country with big parking lots, a lot of vacant lots? We've got really wide right-of-ways with a lot of ugly stuff on either side, kind of the opposite of place. And so one of the things that's important, and I'm going to dig, most of this is going to get into the numbers and the math of why some level of density is important to a community to pay the bills, but also important to keeping housing diverse and affordable. But at the end of the day, we want to live and work and play in places that we love and feel connected to. And so at its core, even more so than money, it's really about building places that people love and want to stay and engage with. So post World War II, if you look at our development pattern, and this was really the beginning of my journey into more planning and away from more kind of straight up civil engineering. But post World War II, cities all over our country started to pursue fast growth, higher quality of life in the short term without fully considering long-term costs and impacts. So we would look for those economic development deals to bring jobs in today. We would look for the residential development to just crank out the rooftops. And a lot of this has been in more post World War II has been in the more autocentric suburban type of pattern. But as we're doing that, what about? Looks like my slides are on a little bit. What about maintenance after growth? So our developers come in, they build all the stuff for us. They give us the roads, the water, sewer, the drainage, the residents, the rooftops, the commercial, the schools, the parks, all the things. But as soon as that developer leaves, it's on our cities and the taxpayers to pay to maintain those areas forever. And so these are some of the things that I saw working around the country of places that were, best place to live, work, play in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then in the 2000s and 2010s, they start to look like this. And unfortunately, we have more and more of these stories around the country of just cities that were great for 1 or 2 or 3 decades, and then they just couldn't keep up with everything. And it started the cycle of those who had the ability and the means to move out did, both on the residents and commercial side, and it kind of puts the cities in a tailspin that's really tough to get out of. So going back to 2008, 2009, when I was in that role, I started asking city managers, mayors, council members, when it came to growth and development in your community, what's the biggest challenge or frustration that you've been dealing with. And a large majority of them, this changes a little bit year over year if you look at the National League of Cities surveys. But generally, the majority of them will say some version of this. How do we keep up with the growing wants and needs of our community with limited resources? We have property tax caps. We've got there's all kinds of pressure on our cities to to do the economic development and the new parks and the new rec centers and things like that. But then we also have to take care of the older stuff, the utilities that are underground, the older neighborhoods, the older businesses, et cetera. And so it's really challenging for anybody that's in city management today to try to juggle all of these things. You know, the expectation side of the equation is always growing. We're always adding more things. I've got a whole section on a longer workshop that I do that gets into what's the difference between a want and a need. But just know that the majority of city managers all across this country, even ones in the most affluent, well-off, financially sustainable, strong places, are really, really struggling with how to keep these balanced. Digging a little bit deeper, infrastructure is a big challenge. This is an old slide back from 2019 from San Diego, but I could give you. There's a brand new article that just came out for the city of Houston. More and more of our larger cities, some of our mid-sized cities, are really starting to struggle with this infrastructure funding shortfall, and it kind of goes back to developers are putting this infrastructure in during the growth phase, but then our cities have to maintain it. And I'm going to dig into that a little bit more here in a second. I feel this is just my personal perspective, our teams from working in different places, but in most of the country, we're building cities that we can't afford to live in long-term as residents, and we're struggling to maintain them as cities. There's certainly exceptions, but this is more the norm than not. And so this is the question that I was asking myself when I left my former firm and started Verdunity back in 2011. I was asking this: with all the growth and prosperity that we have in our country, why can't our cities afford to maintain our infrastructure? And the answer gets to our development pattern. And so I'm going to kind of diverge here for a little bit and just talk about the way that we built our places pre-World War II, before the invention of the car and the ability to acquire larger tracts of land quicker. This is from Chuck Marone at Strong Towns, good friend of mine, somebody that we've collaborated with for a long time. But two really powerful slides that show the way that we used to build our cities. It all started like this. It was a small block. It was, maybe 2 blocks where people came together in an area and said, this is a place we can live, we can do business. And so a few people come, they build a couple buildings, and they start to do their thing. And over time, that little street turns into this. And the way we used to build our places was what Chuck refers to is, and I think it's a great way to explain it. It's incrementally out, incrementally up, and incrementally more intense. So as more people came to this community, as more people moved there, as more business came, they would add a few more blocks, or they would add a second story to a building. And our towns just incrementally evolved. If you look at most of our older cities, you can see that core traditional kind of street grid where they just went and started adding more and more buildings incrementally out as the resources became available. But after World War II, the invention of the car, all of the housing bills, all the incentives. One more before I get to that. So this is old historic look. This is from Indianapolis, one of my favorite neighborhoods. But you can still see the same kind of design where it was about getting around on foot, more about people and interaction than it was about dedicating more space to our cars. And so you ended up with a lot of historic neighborhoods that look like this, where you have narrower streets, you've got front porches, you got the majority of the housing and the businesses that are oriented, up onto the street. And then we switched. And so then we went to designing things more around the car. So As developers, we could buy larger tracts of land, we could build more larger areas all at once, and so we started to crank out the suburban single-family homes and neighborhoods and suburbs. And when you design more things that are more spread out for the car, that then leads to the need for more and wider roads, which leads to more more lanes on the highways, uh, the regional commercial that has to have the big parking lots. And so you can kind of see that shift from people and place based and more incremental and more compact to more spread out and auto focused. Um, I like to pause here and say there's no right or wrong here. They're both valuable. They're both needed even today, but we've kind of shifted as cities to building much more of this newer, spread out development pattern that consumes more land and requires much more infrastructure. And because of that, it's less fiscally productive and more costly to serve. So if we want to build truly financially sustainable places, we need to get back to a little better balance between these two. Um, to illustrate kind of another aspect of this suburban development pattern or post World War II development pattern, it wasn't just the pattern that changed. It was also just the area that we were building in. This is a graphic that we like to do with most of the communities that we work with that just shows the expansion of a city or the annexation history over time. And in this one, you can see the dark green area is the core. That's the core historic part of the city that I was just talking about. And then you can see that kind of goes up to 1930, 1940-ish. And then the yellow, orange, and red is from 1950 on. And so you can see the core of the town of the city, and then you see that much larger area and expansion that they went through over the last 70 plus years. And when you grow outward like that, not only so you're building this much larger area, it takes much more to serve. So you've got a lot more roads and traffic signals and bridges and water towers and police and fire, all the things that are needed to serve that broader area. But at the same time, most cities have grown in a lower density fashion, and so two things are happening here. You're taking on a lot more things that you have to provide in a much larger area that you have to serve, and you're lowering your density to pay for it. And when you bring it all the way down to just the household, what that means is each household has to pay more when you start to build a lower density pattern. The more compact, higher density pattern you build in, you have more homes, more households, and more businesses to all share in that cost. In the case of Victoria, here their service area between 1950 and 2020 grew by over 13 times. Their population only grew by 4 times. So they were a very financially strong city back when they were just that dark green area. Then when they took on all this other stuff, they significantly lowered their density, took on a lot more infrastructure and services, and now they're trying to add intensity and add density in places to catch back up. This is an important chart because it shows kind of how a lot of our communities have grown, and it also shows the situation that you all in a fast growing newer community like Menifee want to try to avoid. So to walk through this quickly on the left, if you start at the left side of this chart, you've got a small population. You've got a core part of town that is your old town, your old historic town. As you move to the right of this chart, you start to add population. And right here in the middle, it's that best place to live, work, play phase where you've got a lot of development activity, a lot of new development, a lot of new people, new businesses moving to town, and so the average age of your infrastructure or age of your city goes down because as you drive around town, you see mostly new stuff, and maybe the historic part of town becomes kind of the touristy, historic, kind of trendy place, but it hasn't become a maintenance issue yet. But as you go further to the right of this chart into the red area, you start to run out of land to develop. the revenue from new development slows down, whether that's impact fees, additional property tax, sales tax, what have you, the revenue starts to flatten out. And at the same time, a lot of that infrastructure that was built in your growth phase by developers now has to have not just, you know, simple preventative maintenance, potholes, things like that, but more significant maintenance and reconstruction. And so this is that the far right of that curve is where a lot of cities have ended up that were not planning for that infrastructure, that wave of infrastructure costs that hits 2 or 3 or 4 decades after it's first put in. So in the case of Menifee, what can you do to manage your growth and development pattern to flatten this out a little bit? Number one, so you don't have so much rapid growth all at once, but you're also thinking about how can you manage the long-term costs that are coming that you don't see when you're in when you're growth mode. So it's really about shifting. If we want to build financially sustainable, lasting places, some of you may have heard the phrase disposable suburbs. That's referring to places that were really great for one life cycle of development, and then they begin to struggle. So this is something at a high level that we encourage communities to think about, not to run a city as a business for profit, but to run it so that you can make sure you've got the revenue keeping up with service costs, staying ahead of service costs, and then having some surplus revenue to invest back into quality of life, economic development, et cetera. So if our cities have resource gaps, there's 3 basic options to close those. One is increase taxes and fees. That's not a popular option for pretty much nobody. I don't think I've met anybody that's a fan of that one. Reducing services is basically what we're doing now. When we set our budget, we have a certain amount of revenue and we set our expenditures to match it. Anything we don't have revenue for in a budget or in a capital improvement program, we'll defer to the next year. And so we do that over and over and over. The problem with that is if you defer things for too long and don't keep up, then you end up in that situation that I mentioned earlier. So the third alternative is develop in a more productive and sustainable manner. And again, for you all in Menifee, as a newer community, you're not saddled with a lot of old liabilities yet. You probably might be thinking even right now, what's Kevin talking about? We don't have a resource gap in Menifee yet, but you might, and it depends on how you build out the rest of your city. So what is developing in a more productive and sustainable manner? What do I even mean by that? Well, first off, there's trade-offs. You can't have stable services, low density, and low taxes. Those 3 are simply do not exist, except maybe in a rural environment where the person's definition of stable services might be, it's okay if the fire department takes 20 minutes to get to me, or I have gravel roads or something like that. But we've been able to use this graph or this chart and different variations of it to help communities, residents understand some of these different trade-offs of, if you want low taxes and stable services, then you gotta have higher density. If you want low density and stable services, then you're going to have higher taxes and home values to pay for it. So there's a lot of trade-offs that our residents and communities need to understand when it comes to development and what it costs to serve and maintain them. So anytime we're talking about a lot of different problems, different issues, we've got different people and perspectives. It helps to try to find a common language that you can frame things through. And for development in communities, I like to think that language can be fiscal sustainability. You can take just about anything in a city and connect it back to what is it going to generate to our community in revenue, what is it going to cost to serve, and what does that mean for the taxpayer. And so this question up there at the top is a really, when you think about it, it's just a really powerful question to think about when you're talking about any development proposal, any infrastructure project, any growth scenario. It's just how are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it as a city? How are we going to pay for it, or how are you going to pay for it as a resident? It's a really powerful way to kind of cut through some of the clutter and just get down to the really basic the basic conversation that's happening in pretty much every city manager's head, and probably a lot of you guys as well, as you're considering some of the proposals come in there. So how we're going to pay for it is a really important question to think about. So starting to move into developing responsibly, what is it, what do development patterns look like in terms of revenue and cost to serve and cost to taxpayers? One of the tools in the toolbox is value per acre mapping. This is a map from Dallas County that shows basically the higher the bar there, the darker the green, and the higher the bar, the higher the revenue per acre is. So this is just taking the property tax revenue that is paid by the parcel, divided by the size of the parcel, and you get a revenue per acre number. This is a really good way to kind of compare different shapes and sizes and development patterns and parcels and lot sizes and all kinds of things in your city on an apples to apples basis. You can do it just on the assessed value per acre. You can go into the property tax revenue per acre. And what we've done quite a bit of is actually go to the net per acre level, where you factor in cost to it as well. Before I show kind of what that net per acre looks like, just talking a little bit more about how do we increase revenue to our city without changing the tax rate? And a lot of people think about the tax rate as the main variable that we can adjust, but the development pattern actually plays a role as well. The more, basically what this shows is lot coverage. The more building you put on a lot, the higher the value per acre is going to be. The same thing holds true if you go up. The more stories you put on a building, the more taxable value you're going to get. So for the same, if you have a same size parcel and you put, if you just think about this residential, you got the same size parcel, everything's exactly the same, the street, the water, the sewer, it's all exactly the same. A 2-story house versus a 1-story house, the 2-story is going to be more. And so the city gets more property tax revenue from that property. And if you get into a mixed use or a downtown scenario where you go 3, 4, 5 stories or more, that value per acre really starts to multiply. So just if you go multiple stories, if you put more building on a lot, you're going to get more of that taxable value per acre without having to adjust the tax rate. And that's a really important conversation. I'm talking with you guys from here in Texas. We are, we're known for, we're a pretty conservative state. I've lived, I think, in 8 different states and moved around quite a bit. So I tend to be a little bit more in the middle personally, but I work with a lot of cities here in Texas, and explaining the value that density brings in a very heavy, keep our property taxes down kind of culture. It's a really powerful, it's a powerful tool in the toolbox. So showing images like this just to show the difference between the value of different development patterns. On the left, you've got a large rural estate kind of property. So that's in this community that came out to a little under 100,000 per acre of value. The middle one is a typical suburban single family lot, 1/3 acre lot. That's $2.5 million per acre. And then you start to get into the townhomes, the higher density stuff on the right, and you can just see how the lot size is a lot smaller and the value per acre goes up. Again, pause here. Yes, the rural estate on the left has a bunch of open space. The one in the middle has the yard, and the townhome on the right has shared open space. And that's, in this example, we're only looking at the specific property that the building is on, but we also zoom out and kind of look at a whole development pattern. So in the case of these townhomes, we would also look at the open space that's included in there as well. If we look on the commercial side, you got a pad site on the left all the way to a big box in the middle, and then a core traditional grid downtown on the right. Same thing shows true. The more compact and dense you go, the higher value per acre you're going to get. This is just property tax. Sales tax is harder to model down at the parcel level, but it tends to follow the same trend. The more people you put in an area, the more value you're going to get out of that development, and the more you spread out people, the less value per acre you're gonna get. So this is just on the revenue side so far. Something that one of my colleagues came up with a few years ago that I think is important to talk about too is this connection between residential and commercial. When you build lower density residential, that tends to require lower density, more auto centric commercial. The big box stuff with the bigger parking lots, the businesses tend to do their trade areas. They pull from a larger area to attract the volume that they need to get to their store. Versus if you build a high density residential pattern with more people in an area, then that supports more of your more mixed use, more compact commercial that can be a lot of your local businesses that want and need the walk up traffic, to also more of your employers that want to be in some of that live, work, play environment. But I've worked with a lot of cities that they want to have the low density residential, and then they want to get the high density, mixed use urban village kind of way out away from it. And it doesn't work that way. You've got to have some residential mixed in with the commercial to create these the quality mixed use places. So coming back to the math, land use fiscal analysis is a process that we use, whether we do it standalone for cities, it's really the backbone to every comprehensive plan or general plan that we do. We want cities to understand what's already on the ground and what are you obligated to pay for already. And so we'll go through a process. On the left. You can see two different maps. The top one is a net per acre map for current budget conditions. Basically anything that's purple or green is net positive after you load it up with budget costs. And then the bottom map shows when we load in unfunded infrastructure liabilities like deferred street maintenance, park maintenance, things like that. And you can see how much more the city goes into the red when you add in those unfunded liabilities. And then on the right side, you see charts. We can, once the data is into the system, we can slice and dice it by zoning district, lot size, land use, different geographic areas, and kind of dig in and see which different development patterns hold their value even when you load in future street costs or other unfunded costs. Starting to get towards the end here, and just wanted to show kind of the difference between some different scales of residential and what it means for the return on the investment. This first one is typical single family residential. I think these three examples are all from Fort Worth, but we do this with most of our communities that we work with as well. This just shows on this one, you can see the orange bar on the left. For every dollar the city spends to serve this development, they get 11 cents back in tax value. When we go to the next option, we go up a level or a couple levels to some brownstone residential. You can see that return on investment jumps up to 50 cents on the dollar. You're still not making your one-to-one though, even on with just the residential and the property tax here. And then the third one gets into the urban village mixed use at a much higher density in the West 7th neighborhood. And this gets close to giving that $1 return just in property tax revenue. This has no sales tax on it or at all. So this higher density development almost pays for itself completely just from property tax. Couple other things to think about as you all, I know you're thinking different residential contexts. I know you've got some corridors that are opportunities for some mixed use. And why I think that the direction and the conversation you guys are having, or y'all are having on, density and different scales of it and where is important. It's not just the math, it's also building a place that is inclusive and where 3 or 4 generations of a family are going to be able to live. Um, if you look at this slide and the next one I'm going to show you, these are two, it's a vacant parcel in a city. We like to find a vacant tract and kind of do these 2 scenarios to illustrate some things here too. But this tract is built out with just the suburban single family subdivision. It's all single family detached homes. The most affordable home here is 325,000. You can see there's very limited green space, only a little under 5 acres of green space in the whole development. There's no commercial space. They might get something small right there at the entrance to it, possibly. But there's just a single type of housing at a pretty high entry point from an affordability standpoint. And when you run the numbers on the infrastructure and the service costs here, this little development comes out net negative for the city. If we change it and we look at integrating some different types of housing, we mix in some accessory dwelling units, some duplex, a couple of triplexes, all the way up to some townhomes. The most affordable home here, the ADU, is 85,000. It's got 6,000 square foot of commercial space. It's got more than double the green space, and it's a net positive for the city in terms of tax revenue. It's also, going back to the point I was making a second ago, it's also a kind of neighborhood where multiple generations of a family could all live close together affordably within walking distance. And these are the kind of neighborhoods that are more and more in demand now. We're seeing less and less of just the straight up single family homes and a lot more of just the integration, even if it's just integration of residential types in a neighborhood, kind of mixing them together. But integration of the smaller local and neighborhood scale commercial is also something that we're seeing growing in importance in the newer communities or in aging communities. They're trying to kind of redevelop and take some of the older, that are single use type places and turn them into a little more mixed use. So at the end of the day, what all of the math, all the analysis that we've done, we've probably done, I don't know, at least 100 different cities around the country, different shapes and sizes, and the math will always show that the more compact, denser places tend to have higher fiscal productivity. Yes, in some cases they can have more cost to them, but they tend to generate more margin on the revenue side to cover those additional costs when they're designed well, when they're located in the right place. And so this gets to just thinking a little bit more about a balance between we've gone in the last 50, 60 years, we've swung so heavily towards auto-centric design, and now things are moving back toward designing places for people and placemaking and human interaction again, whether that's kids playing outside more, whether it's the older generation interacting with the younger generation. There's a lot of things kind of going on socially too, with designing more places that all of our residents can interact a little bit more. So, and just to wrap up with a couple, everybody likes to see the pictures, but just to show the pictures of what some of these more profitable and fiscally productive places look like. You've got a situation, I think this is in Santa Barbara. You've got one, I think this next one, I don't recall where this one was from, but you can see just a little bit more density, one or two additional stories. You get more of the street with the on-street parking and the streetscape and the landscaping and the tree canopy. Just a little bit more of this does a whole lot for the city bank account in terms of revenue per acre and generating more revenue than it costs to serve. Then you go up one more level. a little more of kind of a traditional downtown, but in a little more modern setting. And then you can go even higher than that. I think you have a few places there in Menifee where I think you could pull off something of this density and pull in some of the I think on our call the other day we were talking about some of the medical employment or the medical industry being a target for you all. So all of these different, if you go back to the numbers on these, each of these increments of density are going to generate a little bit more value per acre just on the property tax side, probably a lot more on the sales tax side. And these tend to be more of the kind of environments where multiple generations of people want to be. And so if you're a place where multiple generations of people want to be, you stay relevant, you stay vibrant, your neighborhoods continue to evolve and get reinvested in. But when you build places that look a lot alike, a lot of the same kind of housing and the same kind of neighborhoods over a broad scale, you could be really attractive for a while, and then you're going to struggle to hang on to those folks as they start to want or need something different in life. So that's where I'm gonna wrap up. We can kick this over to questions if you all want. But my takeaway, my advice to you all, and we do a lot of work with very fast growing cities here in Texas. As well, and the conversation's very similar in that you've got some older, more established places around you, and you've got an opportunity to basically build a new city that's you can learn the lessons from those around you and build a place that's more attractive and vibrant and financially sustainable. And I don't know that I mentioned this, but when you're also building places that are fiscally productive to the city in terms of boosting value per acre, you're also building the diverse mix of businesses and houses that keep the supply up and keep them affordable as well. I know you guys are feeling the affordable housing crunch there in California big time. So the more supply you build, the more you can keep the cost down. But it's not just supply of one thing. It's building more of a diverse supply of housing in different shapes and sizes, and all of that needs to fit back into these different mixed-use neighborhoods that have different levels of density and placemaking to them. So with that, I'll quit yapping and see if you guys have any questions for me.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for that post-World War II update. Anybody have any questions for Kevin, Chris? Tammy? Are you doing more, what is your scope of work on this, Kevin? So we're seeing the presentation. Are you doing numbers in addition?
So no, for right now, Brian just asked me if I could give you guys a little just overview of what we do and some of the perspective. We're not under contract with you guys or anything. I just like sharing these stories and sharing the information. So this is it. This is just to give you guys some information to think about.
We appreciate it. Good job.
All right.
Thank you again.
Kevin, before you leave, I do have one, not a question, but more of a comment, because I think it's important to understand the picture. When you gave us the example of the comparison of the residential project between the standard single family versus the other one was a little more mixed. And in looking at the numbers, the increase in units, it's not drastically higher. I was looking at the numbers, it's only like 60, maybe 70 units more, right? So it's not like we're doubling or tripling the units.
Right, yeah, no, you're, I mean, in a lot of it, I like to call it, gentle density. You're just adding, you're mixing in a few smaller lots and a few bigger lots, and so you've got a cottage court or some duplexes or some 3-story townhomes mixed in with some of the larger residential, but it's you're not adding a lot of units, you're just kind of mixing in the different lot sizes and the sizes of the homes, which changes the price points. And when you add a little bit smaller lots like that, it opens up some green space as well. So that's always surprising to people. Like you're not really you're not adding enough units to, overburden parking or, or something like that.
Great. I do have one question. So in your modeling, were you only looking at the ad valorem property tax, or as you brought more density in, did you factor in additional sales tax, maybe parking revenue, I don't know, whatever it is, any other streams of revenue, or were you just looking at the ad valorem?
Yeah, that's a great question. It depends. We've looked at both. Some places just want us to focus just on ad valorem, because that's the most direct connection of development pattern to revenue. But yeah, we've looked at, we brought in sales tax. We've looked at the whole general fund budget. So all the money in and all the money out. We do separate enterprise funds. We don't put, water, sewer, anything that's like has more of like a consumption type fee to it. We keep that separate. Although I think we've never been asked to. I think you could make a connection from development pattern to water and sewer also. But yeah, we always start just as the base with ad valorem, and then we can add sales tax to it, especially with more and more states that are going to property tax caps. You guys have, California's had yours for years at this point. But the more you cap your ad valorem revenue, you've got to start to look at, you have to start to look at other revenue streams. So the important thing is to try to keep it about the development pattern and how the development pattern can impact these things. And if you get too far away from that, the discussion can kind of go all over the place. But we've been asked to do it. We've been asked to do it a number of different ways.
Well, I ask it in the perspective of, and you can tell me if I'm wrong here, most residential development, basic residential development, does not pay for itself as far as public safety, other city things that the city provides. So is there a cost that you're not factoring into here when you bring in a higher density? And obviously a couple units, that's a balance, which I'm for. But when you bring in a more intense use, do you not increase the public safety and the other infrastructure needs exponentially, I guess?
Yes, sir. Another great question. I think what I've seen is the numbers tell different stories in different places. There's usually the assumption that higher density leads to more police or more crime or what have you. That doesn't always show out in the numbers. I think the big thing that we show that needs to be considered is the full life cycle infrastructure costs. And so I would agree with you that most residential is difficult to pencil out. It has to be subsidized from other sources. But the more productive your residential can be, the less reliant you have to be on more volatile sources like sales tax or development fee revenue. But when you factor in the unfunded street costs, your more compact, more walkable places that tend to have more of narrower streets and grids and more sidewalks, that pattern has less infrastructure than more of your spread out pattern that has more of your 4 or 6 lane roads and cul-de-sacs and pump stations and water towers and that. And so when you factor in the full cost of the whole cost of your development pattern and the full life cycle of it, that's where the more spread out, lower density stuff really starts to be exposed, as it's even more costly than we think. So, or that we have been, as we've thought. So I think there's no one answer there. More density does drive more costs. I think That's certainly the case in some places, but there's also the factor of if you consider it of calls per person, you know, you're naturally gonna get more calls in a more dense area because you have more people in that area. So that's one that we're trying to do more, kind of dig into the data a little bit more and kind of prove up what's real and what's not. But I hope I'm kind of explaining this more like you have to,
Yeah.
if you really want to understand what different patterns cost, you really have to think about the infrastructure cost, because we think, you know, when we go build and I see this a ton here, and I lived in San Bernardino back when I was little, and had a lot of conversations with my dad about this, but the pattern California had there and what we're seeing today in Texas. But we think you know, we're building more spread out, and we build all this new stuff, and even if it's higher values, that, oh, this, you know, this is less crime, there's lower cost to it, but that infrastructure cost to serve that's more spread out pattern is really, it's a big ticket item. Like I just did a presentation to a city yesterday that it's just to rebuild their current streets is like $800 million. It's like they're short like 40 something million a year, just to keep up with existing streets, and they're still building more. So
your basic model is that the deferred infrastructure cost is what's killing the budget. That's the basic premise here then, right?
that's a big part of it, yeah. Yeah. And so think about ways that you can, if you want to make up that gap, it could be property tax. It could be a newer thing that we're seeing more of is a street fee that's taken from sales tax. So dedicate a portion of sales tax to a street fee reserve. I don't know, I'm not familiar exactly with what the laws are there in California right now with this, as far as setting up reserve funds for infrastructure. But more and more states are starting to allow that. But that's on the cost side, it's the infrastructure and especially roads. And then on just the people side of it, it's being aware of a little bit of a demographic shift that's starting to happen, that you know, the boomers that are wanting to downsize, and then the younger generations that grew up in a suburb and don't want anything else to do with a suburb again. So that those two things are kind of driving a demand for a different kind of housing than what we've built in a lot of our newer communities.
Good. Great. It's great staff that you're looking ahead for us. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
your time.
All right. We
Thank you.
appreciate yours. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 5. Are there any modifications to the agenda, Edna?
We have none.
Great. Can I ask the Planning Commission for an all in favor to approve the agenda?
Aye.
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 Okay, hearing, any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Okay, item 6. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
We have none.
Okay. So this is the time for members of the public to address the commission about items which are not listed on the agenda. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the commission's ability to respond to your comments on non-agendized items at the time such comments are made. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes on any single item. There is one set of minutes for the Planning Commission's approval. Does the Planning Commission have any modifications? No?
No.
Could I ask Planning Commission for all in favor to approve the July 23rd, 2025 minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Number 8, there are no consent item calendar items. Okay, we'll go to public hearing items now. So before we begin the public hearing, I'd like to briefly explain the procedures. Following the staff presentation and any questions from the commission, I will open the public hearing. The applicant will have the opportunity to speak, followed by members of the audience who wish to address the commission. Each speaker will be given up to 3 uninterrupted minutes to provide their comments. Please note that the commission will not be able to respond to comments or questions posed during the public comment portion, but may raise questions or issues with staff or the applicant after the public hearing is closed. Okay, here's what we've been waiting for, item 9.1, Denny's Restaurant. This is item 9.1. Could the Community Development Director please introduce the item?
Thank you, Chair. Fernando Herrera, our senior planner that has been working with the applicant, is excited to give you the next presentation.
Great.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. The item before us is for the proposed Denny's plot plan PLN 24-0189. Here is where the project is going to be located. It's going to be on the northeast corner of Bradley Road and Newport Road. The project is going to propose a development of a 4,500 square foot Denny's restaurant, and it's going to include the proposal of 56 parking spaces. The general plan map and zoning designation of the property is Economic Development Corridor, Newport Road. Here's what the proposed site plan is going to be. So it's going to encompass 2 lots within the existing parcel. And the one access that we have there along Newport Road is going to provide full access for the Denny's restaurant. The applicant has worked with us to ensure that the project site will meet all of the landscaping requirements, and there's the proposed palette of trees that are going to be located on site, as well as the architecture. So here we have the elevations of the proposed restaurant. Public notices were given for the restaurant. We did receive 2 comments in regards to the project. One letting us know for the original meeting date that the public notice was located on an adjacent parcel. Hence, we continue the item to today's date. And another letter in opposition to the project in regards to concerns about a median on Getz Road, or Bradley Road, sorry. Staff did review the project, and it was determined that the project is exempt from CEQA under section 15303, class 3, new construction and conversion of small structures. And it is staff's recommendation that the Planning Commission determine that the project is exempt from CEQA under section 15303, new construction and conversion of small structures, and direct staff to file a notice of exemption and adopt a resolution approving plot plan PLN 24-0189 for the approval of the project. This concludes staff's presentation. The planning department as well as the applicant are here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Senior Planner Fernando Herrera. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for staff? No discussion, just questions? No? Okay. I do. So we pretty much approved this in the past. Was there any differences that we don't know about or that should be discussed?
No.
From then to now?
No, so the original Denny's as proposed is as part of the original proposal. So what was originally approved was a much larger shopping center, and the applicant has just moved forward with the Denny's part of the proposal.
Okay. Then I have one more question. Okay. Well, yeah, I have a question. So item 20 on the conditions of approval, that'd be the interim landscaping. So coming back to what you just said, it's just that northeast portion of that parcel. This says that the graded but undeveloped land shall be maintained in a condition so as to prevent a dust and or below sand nuisance and be either planted with, well, anyway, that property that's not going to be developed at this time, is that this applicant's responsibility?
So that's going to be for the construction site itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. All right, Michael?
Yeah, I want to address the letter we all received in our blue folder. With the right-in, right-out going to the Denny's property. Do you see any issues that I don't see, because I don't see them, but do you see any issues in your professional opinion on traffic issues going to or from Newport Plaza?
I can respond on that. The minor study was done and the level of service is very small, so there is no impact on the restaurant coming in on that traffic.
Thank you.
Any other question? Tammy? No? You happy? Okay. Okay, therefore, I'll open the public hearing at 6:59 PM. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that the item was legally noticed and if any correspondence has been received?
Yes, it was, and there is correspondence in your blue folders.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to invite the applicant to the podium to speak. Applicants, okay. Good to see you again.
Hi, Sherry Monroe, 4M Engineering and Development, as representative for the property owner, Tanya. We are both here to answer any questions.
First of all, do you agree to the conditions of approval?
We do.
Thank you. Any questions, commissioners? Michael? Chris, no?
Good.
We're good.
Thank you so much for your consideration. We
Thank you for
appreciate
your
it.
application and your approval. Okay. Okay, Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak, or would anyone in the audience like to make a comment?
We have none.
Okay. Therefore, I'll close the public hearing at 7:01 PM. Does the Planning Commission have any other comments or discussion? Chris?
One, can we pull up the schematic in the staff report? It's the, I'm not sure which one you call it, but Orlando, what I'm talking about is possibly fencing off the back of the building from prevent homelessness back there.
IT, if you can show the site plan on the presentation, please. There you go, thank you.
Go. So go back a slide if you could. There you go. So if you look at the pad at the southeast corner where it has the buildings backed up to the wall, basically, I think it might be a good idea to just fence off the north and southern corners, the northeast and southeastern corners of the building to the wall to keep the homeless from going in there. Because they're always jumping in somewhere there. So you're going to have a problem in the future. So that's just one. It could be a wrought iron fence, something simple. So that's my. What's the distance between the wall and the building there? $15 feet, 10 feet.
That looks to be approximately 15 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't throw a wrought iron fence in there on each corner and prevent a lot of problems. It'll reduce public safety requirements to be going back there and prevent a problem. So that's just a thought. I don't know what the rest of the commission thinks about that.
It's a good idea. Can I ask the applicant a question? Sure. Could you come back up to the podium, please?
That back area that Commissioner Thomas is looking at, is that food delivery, a food delivery aisle?
On the east, so
On the east side.
on the east side, that's an existing self-storage right on the property line.
But between the self-storage and your building, it's just planter, or is there,
It's planter, it's ADA access, sidewalk access back into along the building, back up to the front from the parking. I think it's all concrete.
It's a concrete path that it'll be our delivery access, also
it is
our
delivery
trash
access.
So it's
removal,
delivery access.
electrical
Okay, so you're gonna
removal,
need
We're
wide
gonna
enough for
be,
pallet jacks and,
we're gonna be walking that area often.
and,
Oh, okay.
then a
Well,
gate probably wouldn't,
You could put a gate there, I mean,
yeah, but those guys come at like 3 o'clock in the morning and then they gotta get more codes.
Yeah,
They
we're
already have a
taking
key.
trash out constantly.
Yeah.
okay.
Have you thought about the homeless? At all?
I don't see that it'll be an
Commission,
issue.
if I can make a comment, Commissioner Thomas, I think your comment is appropriate. If there wasn't any activity back there at all, if there was no access, no sidewalk, I think I would probably have the same concerns. The fact that this is a delivery, they're gonna be taking out the trash, they're gonna consistently be going in and out. I think the concern is less.
That's fine. I thought it was all landscaping, so that was my only comment.
Anything else while we have them up
Thank
there?
you.
Anyone? No? Thanks, Sherry.
It's okay, I need the exercise, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't,
Chairman Madrid?
yes.
If I could just also say, I know a lot of other cities have a homelessness challenge in their cities, and we are a city that does not have that challenge to the same degree, and our police department does an amazing job working with the homeless population to find them resources and work with them. So I just don't want anybody in the community to think that we have a homelessness problem. We are working really closely with our homeless population, and so I just wanted to make that we have a great POP officer team that works closely with our homeless and with the social services that exist in this county of Riverside. So,
All right, you're on it. Thanks, Brian. Okay, any further questions, guys? Okay. So, since there are no other questions, there is one resolution for adoption. May I get a motion and a second to adopt the resolution as presented by staff?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I don't have a screen.
You don't have a screen? You pull it up? He's screenless.
There we go. It's thinking.
I thought you, motioned, I thought you. All right.
Sorry about that.
Oh, we got one more. The suspense is thick. Oh, are you gonna? Oh, you passed. You're approved. Thank you for all your hard work, and we look forward to Denny's in this community. I do. All right, thank you. Okay, so item 10. I see there are no discussion items. Here's my favorite part now. Yeah, get the Denny's Deluxe back with the roast beef, not the turkey, the roast beef. That's my favorite. So we're on number 11, my new favorite item with the Community Development Director. Do you have any questions, updates, or comments?
Commissioner, just one quick comment. Starting next meeting, staff will start doing some small training sessions to the commission. I know that there's a couple of commissioners that have asked that maybe we provide some training in terms of, planning history and different things. So we'll do some small training sessions for commission, and we hope that that's something that would benefit you as you continue to
Oh, great.
be part of the commission. So thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to that. So,
Orlando? Can I get a status update for Newport Point and McCall Square?
Newport Point, nothing has been submitted for the site as of now. As you know, the project was approved in title, and currently nothing has been submitted for plan check. McCall Square is that the mini storage that's currently under construction. McCall and Menifee.
You got Stater Brothers coming in there, the McDonald's.
There's Chipotle that it's going to open up soon. We got the mini storage that's currently under construction, probably about 70% complete. And we do have the developer working with us on the second phase of the project.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, the parking lot's looking great across from the Justice Center. It looks good job. It's clean.
Yeah, that's the city's parking lot. The city just finished paving it. There's still a few outstanding issues that we gotta go back and complete, but CIP did a great job in completing that CIP project.
Yeah, good job, man.
I have one question, Randy.
Yeah.
Do you know over on Menifee Road in Newport where the Stater Brothers is? And we approved a car wash and a kindercare or whatever right there. But then there was some hoopla over that. I think it got appealed. Did it get pulled at the council level? The car wash?
No, the project was eventually, it was appealed, it was approved by council. There hasn't been any movement because there's some outstanding litigation between the applicant and a member of the
Across the
public.
street?
A member of the public.
So it was approved with both uses?
That's correct.
Okay, that remains. Yeah, because I heard they were gonna change the daycare.
That's what I thought.
Something
So.
like that. Okay. We're good on that. Hey, Michael,
I'm ready.
anything to report on committee activities?
On July 29th, I attended the Economic Development Strategy Community Workshop. Thanks, Kayla. On August 5th, I attended the Bradley Bridge groundbreaking ceremony. That's going to be a huge project here coming up. Also on the 5th, I attended National Night Out. On the 9th, I attended the Celebration of Life for John Denver, along with Chairman Reed. And yesterday, I attended the Evening Chamber Mixer over at Black Bear Diner, also with Kayla. So that's all I got tonight.
Michael, you got us covered.
Can I ask one more question, Randy, as far as the Bradley Bridge?
Yes, sir.
I had heard from I haven't studied the traffic plan or the construction plan at all, but someone had told me they're gonna shut down, the city's gonna shut down Bradley from Salt Creek all the way up to past the LDS church, or is it just gonna be shut off? Where's it gonna be stopped at?
Chair, Commissioner Thomas, the project is currently already closed, Bradley Road. It's basically closed from just south of Rio Vista Drive on the south side up to Pebble Beach on the north side.
So Rio Vista, is that?
That's the access to the very north side of Salt Creek. It's the road that's just about 200 feet north of Salt Creek Channel.
So it's not closed on the southern side of Salt Creek? Yeah,
I'm sorry, what was the question?
it's not closed on the southern side of Salt Creek?
It is closed on the southern side of Salt Creek. We do have maps on our website.
Vista is the southern side. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. So for Rio Vista to Pebble Beach is the only enclosure?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, someone had told me it was closed clear up to Lazy Creek, and I said, I don't think so. So, okay.
And that closure will be anywhere from 12 to 14 months for us to construct the bridge.
Good job, Nick. Thank you. Well, let's see here. Would the Planning Commission like to request any future agenda items?
I got one.
All right, Michael?
I think it's fitting. It's been 8 months since we've had a joint meeting, Planning Commission with the City Council regarding the Innovation District. 40% turnover of committee members, and our commission members and council during that time. I think it would be beneficial if we had another joint meeting with the council, along with the executive team, econ development, planning, traffic engineering, just city staff, and just so we get more information.
Okay.
And if I can't get a second on that, then maybe I'll light a fire under some of the staff here.
Is that included?
Makes it happen.
Maybe that's included in Orlando's.
Commissioner
upcoming
Knight, that request will be at the discretion of the city council. As you know, we do have the Innovation District project still moving forward. There's still going to be opportunities for us to come back and provide additional and seek additional input from the commission as well. If council deems that it's appropriate to have a joint workshop, you know, we will definitely do that as well if that's the direction they wanna move forward with.
Thank you. Just putting it out there.
I need to make a comment out of order. I want to go back to item 9.1 and respond to concerned citizen resident Lori Clough. Lori, we read your memo, your request. We addressed it, and we thank you for your comments. Okay.
Commissioner Madrid,
Yes.
may I acknowledge the deployment of Mayor Estrada?
Okay.
I just wanted to wish him well on his deployment, and you know, he is the example of a true servant leader. He was elected to our city to serve the constituents and citizens of our city, and now he's going to serve our country. So I pray for his family. I pray for his safe departure and return when he departs in October. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
And we would acknowledge, but we thank you, but it's October.
Tammy.
It'll be October, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so I adjourn this meeting at 7:16 PM. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for staying. See you guys.